Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
John Wayne Parr, thank you very much for coming on the show, mate. Are you good?
I'm very good, thank you. It's just finished class. It's about just after 9 p.m. here, so that's fun living down under.
Yeah. So you've been like coaching today, training people today?
I'm very lucky. I own my own gym. I got about 150 students, about 30 fighters. Very busy. And then my three kids are all training and compete as well. So keeps us on our toes. So it's a good job. It's fun.
How old are the kids?
So my oldest daughter, she's 20. She's currently in Las Vegas. She's training there for 3 months, preparing to for her boxing. So she hasn't everything lined up just as yet, but hopefully being over there and being amongst all the stars, that hopefully she gets the opportunity to pick up a sponsorship somehow or a fight offer. So she's training with Parr, who's fighting in San Francisco on Devin Haney undercard. So massive event. And Ebony Bridges is going to be going to the gym where Jazzy's training at, and hopefully Jazzy can do rounds, and she's fighting on the same show as Liam as well, and Devin. So massive opportunities for two Aussies in San Francisco on a massive event. And Jazzy gets to be amongst them and rub shoulders with them all. So very exciting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
Fantastic.
Well, look, John, when it comes to you, we want to kind of take you back to where your kind of combat sports career began, I guess. And even before that, I always like to ask guests we have on the show kind of where you grew up and if it was a place where you felt like you had to be tough, you had to be able to deal with confrontation very well. So what was that like for you growing up and did you have to deal with that?
Are you familiar with the movie Karate Kid?
Yeah.
So I went to 11 different schools growing up. So
wow.
We're constantly I'd be somewhere for a year. All right, and then I remember I'd come home and then I get the old, all right, time to have a sit on the couch. All right, bad news. We're moving tomorrow. It's like, oh no. So sometimes you wouldn't even get to say goodbye to the boys. And then I was always a new kid. So the whole time, just as I started getting a crew, and then I wasn't just moving down the road too. I'd be going interstate every time, so all up and down the east coast of Australia. And then I got to learn to be by myself, and I ended up being an only child too. I knew whatever I wanted in life, it was only up to me. I had no one else to rely on. So when the opportunity came to I go to Thailand, I think that's what helped me be there so long, because I was so used to being in a new place, and new people, and new environment that it was just another day. So I was very, very fortunate.
Tell us a little bit about your kind of, first ventures into combat sports. Before, I ultimately want to pick up on what you just said there and talk about those early times in Thailand. But before you got there, tell us about the first time you got involved in combat sports.
So from the moment I can have my earliest memories, I always wanted to be a fighter. We lived on farms with horses. My parents were horse trainers and jockeys. And then I remember watching a TV show, Monkey Magic, and then the Karate Kid. And then I used to practice doing like crazy katas by myself. And I had no idea what I was doing because I was by myself the whole time. And then eventually, one of the locations we moved to was the city called Brisbane. It was the first time being in like having neighbors and being in a suburb. And then there was a Taekwondo school up the road. So in year 6, at the age of 11, I started Taekwondo, and I just thought it was the greatest ever. Kids in their gis, and you could hear the snap of your gear as you're doing your punches and your front kicks. Speaking in Korean, counting the 10 as you're doing your star jumps. Just thinking, this is the great. And then the old days of the VHSs when you watch the guys in Korea all in gears, all standing in line, hundreds of people. You say, oh, one day we'll go to Korea. That's the dream. I want to be one of those guys. I want to be breaking boards, doing spinning back kicks and stuff. And then unfortunately, the school that I was training at, about a year and a half later, they ended up closing down. I didn't have enough students. So I was fully lost. So I don't know what to do. tried to fight different other things, but I just wanted to fight. Oh, sorry. So while I was doing I had my first competition at 11 as a yellow belt. So I had 3 matches in one day. I got to the final. Just lost in the final. Got a silver medal in for the Queensland State for Taekwondo as yellow belt. So that was the start of competing and getting the taste of competition and being successful. To be 11 years old and just all right, now I'm somebody now. And then so then about 6 months after the Taekwondo school closed, Muay Thai moved into the same church that we were training out of. Very old school with the long pants and karate kickboxing style. But it was just and I was thinking to myself as I started, I said, oh, it's not Taekwondo. I'll do this until I find another Taekwondo school because that was my dream. And then I started kickboxing. It's like, what is this? Holy geez, this is we got punches. This changes the game now. Holy crap! And then it just so happened at the same time as I started the kickboxing, the movie Kickboxer came out with Van Damme. It's like, whoa, this is my whole new inspiration now. This guy goes to Thailand. And so instead of going to Korea, now my new direction is I've got to go to Thailand. Oh, this is at 13 years old. So my whole dream since 13 was Thailand. I want to fight a Tongpo. I want to fight. I want to experience all of this. So yes, and then became my hero. Every time I got stuck, what would Van Damme do? What would Van Damme do? And then it was crazy. It was,
I remember that movie. I was just saying, I remember that movie. I was definitely too young to watch that movie when I watched it. There's a few scenes in there that are not age appropriate for like children and stuff. But I definitely watched it, and even to this day, well, not to this day, but me and my brother when we were younger, we had bunk beds, and one of us would have a football at the top bunk bed, the other one would lie down, and we'd go ready to protect, and just drop the ball on each other's stomach, and just like, I loved it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Well, John Wayne, you went on to fight at a high level in Australia, and then was you 19 when you made the decision to move to Thailand?
Yes. So I won my first Australian title at 17. I think it was my fifth or sixth fight, and then won the Australian title. And then the promoter, for some reason, he thought, all right, you won the Australian title, you're ready for a Thai. And I was like, what? And so next minute, I'm the main eventing with 5 fights, fighting a Thai with 100 fights. I hadn't even had hairs under my arms yet. I was still just the boy. It was rough. So they brought this Thai out, and trying to look staunch. So I just turned 18 by stage. So the bell started. I've come out and I've hit him with a 4-punch combo, and I couldn't knock the top off a custard. It was so bad. And then the Thai just dropped his hands and smiled at me, and then he put his hands up and just walked forward. And I backed up against the ropes, and he kicked my thigh so hard that when I fell down, I caught the second bottom rope, and then he doubled the kick up, and the second kick went across my jaw and knocked me out cold in 30 seconds. So I remember the referee counted about 6 or 7, and I'm looking up at the lights, and the lights are going all over them. I was like, oh, I think I'm done. I don't really want to get up. I don't want to face that again. Holy. And then I was petrified. I was so scared of Thais. I thought, oh man, these guys are next level. They're too scary. And then the following year, moved out of home, got my own apartment, and then I worked as a bartender, and then had 4 fights for 4 wins for 4 knockouts, I think. And then my sponsor that I had at the time, he, oh, the last fight was amazing. You showed a lot of heart. I think you have enough potential to go to all the way. How would you like to go to Thailand and learn from the best? I'd love to go to Thailand. So he's like, all right, all you got to do is if you organize your passport, I'll do the rest. So I go down, go to the post office, order the passport. A week later, the passport comes, go down the shop. Hey, you got passport? Come. So he grabs me by the wrist. He leads me down to about 4 or 5 shops where there's a travel agent. I won 1 6-month ticket for my friend here. So and then he looked at me and goes, okay, you got to promise me 6 months. You can't come back. I'll organize your camp, somewhere to stay, your food. I'll do everything. All you got to do is promised me 6 months. So we went over there, had 5 fights, 5 wins, 4 knockouts. I came back to Australia again, lost. I started working at my sponsor's restaurant. I'm picking up plates and washing dishes and still training, still hoping something will pop up. And then the Thai camp rang my sponsor, said, "Hey, any chance you can send me back to Thai? We think he's got massive potential." So this time, my Rich is like, "Okay, this time we're gonna promise you 1 year." Right, 6 months was cute. They got your foot in the door. Now you've been there. You got 1 year. I said, yeah, I'm gonna do 1 year. So go back again, and then it just so happened 3 weeks after going back again, Sankten, who was the superstar of our camp, he had a massive fight in the country. So what happens in Thailand? The sponsor gets paid by TV, so he doesn't need the ticket gate money. So he'll do a show in the middle of a field somewhere, and like 30,000-40,000 people come all for free. And then on TV, it looks insane, looks mad, it looks so crazy. And people will drive for like 3-4 hours to come and watch superstars fight when they're close to their town. So we go out to this place, and then they're supposed to be Danny Bill from France. He was supposed to fight on the show, but he didn't rock up. And then at the weigh-in, the promoter was like, "Oh no, what are we going to do? I've told the mayor that there's going to be a Western on the show, and I've got money off the government." And then my trainer puts his hands up, and goes, "Might go fight." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "He'll fight. He's pretty good." And then so the promoter's looking at me, going, "Does any Thais in the room want to fight that guy?" And about 30 hands go up, and I'm like, "Oh no!" So what the promoter gets everyone to come and stand beside me to see who was like the closest in height and weight. And so, all right, you two, you're a match for tomorrow. Oh, yeah, cool. And then shitting myself. And this is they had 40,000 people that day, 40,000 in the at the crowd. And then had a 5-round war, got cut in the 5th, still come back, and dominated the fight. And then the promoter's like, "Holy shit, that was amazing! You're so good. I want to sign you to my." He was the #1 promoter in Thailand. "I want to sign you to my promotion. From this moment forward, you're going to be one of my boys." And that year ended up having 9 fights for 7 wins, and making the front covers of the magazines, and fighting in Lumpini, and fighting in front of 100,000 people on the King's birthday for the first time. I think about 7 of those fights were live on Thai TV as well. So, and then getting recognition, running down the street, and people would like flash their lights and beat their horns. So where I lived in Thailand, I was the only Westerner. So imagine
was
the
this
whole
when
city.
was this when you was in Bangkok?
Yeah, this is a place called Nonthaburi. It's about an hour by ferry to Lumpini. So I was the only white dude. So I go months and months and months without seeing another white person. So I had to become one of them, because no one could speak English. A couple of people speak like a little bit broken stuff, but if I could only do hand signals for so long before I really needed to learn how to talk. So every day I try and learn 5 words. I'd ask questions. What's this? What's that? What's this? And then at night time I'd go over those 5 words, and then the next day new 5 words. All right, so what's this? And then I'd get yelled at training, and I'd start working out what the words are for the training and kicking and punching. And then so when I was bored, being back then living in a camp, only white guy with 10 other fighters. There was no internet, no phones. It was old school. So once training was done, it was like I had to occupy myself. So there used to be the CD that would play in the background all the time. So I go down to the music shop. I'd buy the CD, sorry. I take it back, and then I press play, pause, and then with a pen and a paper, I'd write in English what I heard, what I think the song would say. So POM, POM, Dongan, DONG. And then I remember that I remember it like karaoke. So then when we used to go to karaoke bars and stuff, I'd put a request in, and I'd be the only dude. I'd be the only white guy in the whole club too. Only white guy, and the dude like he had to look at me going, "Are you sure?" Like, yeah, I promise. And it'd be a live band, and no one would be on the dance floor. And then my song would start. And as soon as I started hitting the notes, like a couple of people would come out, another couple more people. Next minute, the dance floor would be rocking. And then by the time I finished my song, the guy that was hosting the karaoke, he's like, "Hey, you know any more songs?" "I know the whole album. Can you do any more?" "Sure, let's go." So you know, do like 3 or 4 songs in a row. It was amazing. It was so much fun, especially I was only like 19, 20 years old then too. So I thought I want to retire. I want to be a rock and roll singer. This is my calling.
What a great way to
was,
learn a language. That is absolutely fantastic.
So the worst part was I was singing songs, but I didn't know what I was singing. And it wasn't until later that I found out, oh, that's what that means. I get it now. Yeah, so it was quite peculiar.
For your popularity in Thailand, do you think it was of benefit being a Westerner, or do you think that there was more obstacles to overcome because you were a Westerner?
At the time, there was only probably 3, 4 Westerners that were well known in the 90s. Danny Bill, Raymond Deckers, myself. Skibelsi came a little bit after me. Who else? Yeah, there was hardly anyone. So it was really easy to shine. Like me, Deckers, and Danny, and we definitely stood out. And then because I was winning too, that definitely opened more opportunities also. Yeah, it was and then my Ramoy also added a different flavor as well. I was the first one to introduce shooting a gun at my opponent and given the cowboy theme, so that helped me get yeah, I used to get a standing ovation at the end of my Ramoys and majority of my fights over there as well. It was crazy. I'd be fighting a Thai in Thailand, and I'd get a bigger applause after my Ramoy than the Thai would. It was so much. It was so cool. Even on the King's birthday in front of 100,000 people.
That's just because for anyone that's listening to this that doesn't know, because it's predominantly an MMA podcast, what you're talking about there is like the traditional dance that you would do before a fight. Is that right? And you would pull out a pretend like to pull out a gun at the end of it and shoot your opponent because your name isn't actually John Wayne, is it? That was given to you.
My name's just Wayne. And then before my first fight in Thailand, the Thai camp owner's like, what do we want to call you? And he said, what's your history? I said, my parents are horse trainers and jockeys. Oh, so you're like a cowboy. So you're John Wayne. You're John Wayne. I'm thinking, oh no, that sucks so bad. And then I back home in Australia, I wanted to be Wayne the Punisher Parr. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's got a nice ring to it. And then I thought, I'll just use John Wayne in Thailand, and then when I get back to Australia, I'll keep being the Punisher again. And then I went and got friggin' famous, and then the name stuck. So I can't shake it now. I'm screwed.
Tell us a little bit, because was the name given to you by Parr and the family that you was living with at the time? And can you tell us a little bit about the impact that they had on your career?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. So I trained at a gym called Sigyatong in Pattaya for 3 months first, and then I had the opportunity to go to Bangkok. Sangtan Noi, who was the superstar of our camp in Bangkok, he came to Australia. And then he fought at the local casino here on the Gold Coast. And then he met my sponsor. And my sponsor took care of them for the whole week. They were here, bringing them food, giving them pocket money, taking them to the zoos, and just showing them a really good time. And then to hopefully to pay back the favor if they could take the Westerner on their camp. And at that in the 90s, Thais didn't want camps, Westerners in their gyms. We were considered the enemy. They didn't want to teach Westerners because we would learn their secrets to beat them at their own sport. So so only like a handful of camps accepted the Westerners, and the way thinking was like, nah, we don't, nah. And then luckily Richie kept begging them, and then eventually they folded. So when I rocked up to that city, like I said, when I was only Westerner, it was so peculiar, like walking down the street and going into the camp and getting shown around. Are you familiar with my living quarters? Have you seen the photos of that?
Mate, that's crazy.
But tell us as much about it as you can.
Yeah, I slept on a wooden floor for 4 years. I put down a blanket on the floor, then I slept on top of the blanket for a little bit of support. So we didn't have a sit-down toilet. We had a squat toilet. And then because of the piping, we couldn't have toilet paper. So we used to have this big basin beside our squat toilet with a plastic tub. And then you'd pour the water into your hand to wipe your bum. And then when you wanted the shower, we didn't have any hot water or a shower, so we used the same blue container to wet our body, lather up with soap, then use the same blue container to rinse off. And then to brush our teeth in the morning, we use the same blue container to pour water into our mouth to spit out the toothpaste. So the one blue container sharing it with 10 different dudes that are all pooping and showering and brushing teeth, and who knows what else is going on with that blue. Yeah, and somehow or another we didn't get sick. So and then we train 3 hours in the morning, 3.5 hours, sometimes 4 hours in the afternoon. And then majority of the time it was 6 days. And then every now and again, our training used to go on these things where we go like 7 days a week for like 3 months at a time. So Sunday would come, you train through Sunday. When Monday hit, you'd be so depressed because you know you got a whole week ahead of you without any breaks or any time to let your body recover. And then every session you're expected to train harder than yesterday. So it's just brutal. Every fight that I had over there, I think to myself, this is the last one. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Last one, and then I had my fight and I'd win. I'd fight on TV. I'd make the magazine. I'd be in the paper, and then so one more, and then I get halfway through camp. I'm done. This is it. And then I win again. So and then that just kept. I went for 4 years before I finally I got a shin infection, and then I had to come back to Australia again because I woke up one morning and from my knee to my ankle was like blistering pink, and there's this massive lump on my shin. I've gone downstairs and I've showed Senke, and he goes, "Oh, I know what this is. We've got to go get you to the hospital." So I go to the hospital. They've seen the nurse. She looked at my leg. She goes, "Oh, I know what this is. This is going to be really painful. I'll take you to the doctor." Let's see, doctor. I know what this is. This is going to be really painful. It's like, fucking stop saying that already. I get it. Yeah, it's going to hurt. This is going to suck. So stop saying it. And then so they put my leg over like a steel trough. And they said, well, we can't give you any local anesthetic because the shin is so swollen. So what we're going to do, we're going to use some cold magic spray, and that's going to freeze the area, and then we're going to lance your shin to get out the infected blood. Oh, cool. So we're gonna, the spray is really cold, so we're going to do it on the count of 3. So ready? 1, 2. And they cut me before they got the 3 because they didn't want me to be ready for the. And then all this blood had poured out of my shin, and then it was as deep as my second knuckle on my pinky. So I could almost put my thing. And then so for 2 months I have to go to the hospital every single day to get the dressing changed and clean in case of infection. So yeah, so that forced me to go back to Australia then. And then once I got to Australia, I thought, oh, I'd spent 4 years in Thailand. It might be time to come back now and settle back home. And that's when I was lucky enough to open the gym end in '99, and then been successful since. So
wow.
And then so pretty much since the time I've been back, I've been my own boss too. So every time I get a fight, I'll talk to the promoter. I'll match make my own fight. I'll work out my own prize money. I'll ring my mates. Can you come and hold pads with me? I'll watch my opponent. I'll make my own game plan. I'll tell my pad holder how the pad's held. And then if I lose, then it's my fault. But if I win, that's up to me too. So and then there's no middleman either. I don't have to pay for someone to manage me or to train me, or I just I have enough drive to wake up every morning. I don't need someone to push me to get out of bed to run 10Ks, to do my pads, to do my sessions. It's I've been very fortunate how it's all worked out.
I heard you say earlier when you was talking about getting sort of match made for some of your early fights. Can you talk us through a little bit about the culture that you're experiencing? So I heard you say that the promoters would come in and literally grab you and fill you up and down to sort of go, yeah, he's all right. And the people that were gambling on you would come in and literally sort of feel you like a racehorse and kind of get the measure of whether to bet on you. Is that true?
100%.
They
do it all the time. Even your own opponent might come up and look you up and down, touch your bicep, And then very strong. Like try and play head games with you as well.
Yeah.
Oh, me no good. You're so strong. Yeah, just they try and mess with you. But yeah, you over there, you're just a piece of horse. You just look like a horse. You go to like my parents instead of except for I'm the animal. This one. You train. Yeah, you eat, sleep, train, just like the horse. You go to the racetrack. You compete. You go back to the stable. That was life. And then all the betting as well. So the betting that definitely makes you feel like a horse, also, because you're just a piece of meat that make everyone else in the crowd money. Yeah, it's full on.
Because gambling culture within Muay Thai is rife,
Oh,
isn't it?
and then
It's a huge part
in
of
the
it, isn't it?
camps too. In the camps too. So you're the product of that camp. So it was nothing to see kids getting punched in the face and pure brutality if they didn't train to 100% of their potential. If they lost their fight to watch it, I couldn't. I'd run into my room and hide, but I could still hear the kid getting slapped around. It's called round six. There's actually a sign at Lumpini Stadium, a big sign in big Thai letters, and my friend explained to me. It says, "Do not beat your boxer until you get back home because it looks bad in front of the Westerners."
And so
So
that's the camp.
yeah,
The camp beating
it's a
their
bit.
own fighter because he lost.
Oh yeah, it's like when they get back to the camp, if the kid was a little bit scared, the trainer will like smash him in the room and say, "All right, who are you going to be scared of? Me or your opponent? You get the pick. Yeah, if you lose again, you're going to get it again." So that's a little bit of an incentive to try harder next time, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But
You
I
guys get
don't think
mortified.
I would have been like, thanks very much. I'm off. I'm scared of everyone. I'm gonna go and just work in an office or something. That's what I'll be doing. I'll go and do that. But
So as an EG, let's say middle of the day, yeah, everyone's resting. You get a knock on the gate, and there'll be the mum and dad with their 7-year-old kid with a little backpack on, and then the owner of the camp will come out, and the parents say, "Hey, look, I've got 5 kids. I can't afford. We're starving. Can you please take this our child to be one of your boxers?" And then the trainer look him up and down, feel his little arms. Sure. So the kid will wire his parents, and then from that moment forward, the parents walk away, and they might not come back for 10 years. They might not see him again, and then that kid becomes property of that camp from that moment forward. He'll take on the camp's name as his last name. So let's say Boonshoe, the kid might be Stephen Boonshoe from now on. So he's lost his own identity. He's just the camp, and then he's got to learn how to fight. He's 7 years old. He's never done a day training in his life. All right, and then the first week he'll cry every night, and then we're his brothers now. It's right, little buddy. We got you. You're part of our family. We're all here together. So we'll take him for a run. We'll try and encourage him and get him on the pads, show him how to roll his hips when he kicks. And about a month later, every fight you get paid in Thailand. So even the first kids they might make 500 baht, like $20, $25, but it's something. And then all of a sudden you get 5 or 10 fights, and all of a sudden you got and over in Thailand as well, you have to pay for your own education. So the kid will fight and save enough prize money to buy his own school uniform, to buy his own books, to buy his own tuition through the school monthly fees. Yeah, all on his own back from us. So from the 7-year-old, he's already a man. And then once the camp does put him into school, so he'll train maybe 2 hours in the morning, shower, breakfast, school clothes, school all day, come back from school, slip off his school clothes, put on his trainers, put on his runners, and within 10 minutes of being home, he's out the door on a 6K run. And then he'll train for the next 3 hours. And then on the weekends, he has to train harder because he doesn't have to go to school. All right, so he's free day today, no school, so he can train for an extra hour in the morning, extra hour in the afternoon as well. So yeah, and then they do it too. And then so we had one kid in our camp. He was 10 years old with 100 fights. Because at a younger age, they don't hit as hard, so you don't get as damaged. So you might fight Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and then they get $500, or 500 baht, sorry. So by the end of the week, you're making nearly as much as an adult in their normal wages, especially if you do it every week. So yeah, 100 fights at 10, and then if you're lucky enough to be one of the superstars of the sport by 15. You could be earning 3 or 4 times the average adult's wage through fighting. So the potential is there to become a superstar, all accounting to the kid's potential and how much will they want to have and they want it too. Like it's not like they're forced upon it. Like the kids buy the magazines and they put the posters up on the wall and this is my inspiration now. I want to be this guy because then they know the money's there. They know they can get out of poverty through punching faces.
That's just, I mean, you've sort of blown my mind with that, to be honest, because, you know, from someone that doesn't necessarily come from that kind of background and hasn't seen that firsthand, it's like, how do you drop your kid off and allow that to happen? But then you're talking about a completely different situation. Right? If you've got so many kids and you're starving, you can't provide for them. One of the questions I wanted to ask you going into this was that I feel like combat sports through some sections of society are still kind of looked down on. Like I work in the arts industry a lot, and combat sports is not really, it can be looked down on, I think. And I think that hearing a story like that, what I wanted to ask you was, what do you think the benefits are that combat sports provides society? But you've just said something there where you're like, these young kids have gone from starvation or their families to potentially earning huge sums of money and bettering and putting themselves through school, which sounds incredible.
Oh, and they're fighting on TV. They're making the magazines. They can they get a nice car. They get the chain. Get the soup. They got the aura of a superstar. That's a professional athlete as well. So you've got that stigma. But the only thing is, once you retire, a lot of the kids don't get the education, and you're superstar 1 minute, next minute you're a bouncer, a taxi driver, a tuk-tuk driver the next. There's no pension. There's no retirement thinking. There's always going to be a next fight until there's not, and then you're like, oh shit, I should have saved. So like you said before, you're in the arts. So what I do is a martial art. I'm an artist also.
Yeah.
I'm an artist, and I get to express my art through my fighting, to make it as most beautiful and as fluent and to flow from a combination until my competitor no one's to have the will to fight me back anymore and submits. So yeah, my art is my violence.
Yeah.
And then you took that art onto more mainstream television with the Contender series, and obviously, you know, I'm of an age where I grew up watching the Sugar Ray Leonard Contender series, and then to see that there was a Muay Thai one was fantastic. And talk us through the impact that had on your career, and if you don't mind, talk us about that. Talk through that incredible and what we know is for you to be a very emotional fight, going into that fight with Jodson Clay.
Yes. Yeah. So I seen the commercials on the YouTube. I seen they were gonna do a Muay Thai Contender. So, oh man, that'd be so cool. And then a week before they started filming, I got a phone call saying, "Hey, such and such has dropped out. Do you want to enter?" We already have like 2 other Aussies on there, but there's opportunity. So only a week's notice. I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll jump in. I'll crack." So then a couple of days later, I was on the plane. We all met in the Singapore hotel, and we didn't know who was on the show. But as you're walking around the foyer, you're looking around everybody and start realizing, oh, he looks pretty tough. He looks like somebody. And then you start seeing Yod Single Eye, and it's like, oh, okay. And then before you know it, we're we're there a week before we started filming the show to do the title of the show and all the photo shoots and all the pre stuff. And then we all started hanging out in the foyer and started to know each other. And there's a gentleman on the show from France called Rafik, and he was very rude and very arrogant, even before the show started. And then one day, one of the boys had a laptop, and we're watching fights from Thailand. And then all of a sudden, Rafik from France, he's like, when you fight the Thais, you cannot show them any respect. You have to hit them. You have to treat them just like a normal person. They feel pain just like everybody. And yeah, you've been on for this 10-minute thing. And I was like, how many Thais have you fought? He goes, I have fought 3. 3. after this half an hour friggin' speech, it's like, oh, I fought like 40 of them. He goes, yes, 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 but you do not understand. I fought this guy and this guy and this guy. So that is almost equivalent to three also. So, no, it's not. It's almost like three. Three's three, man. You fought, yeah, you fought three. Yeah. And then so one of the days we had to do a photo shoot. As we're driving to the photo shoot, we're in Singapore. The phone rings. He's on his phone. So the French guy goes through. It's only me and the French guy. Me and the French guy and the driver. So we're in the back, and then the French guy goes through his bag. He gets a CD. He leans over the front seat, ejects whatever's in there, puts his own CD on, sees the guy's on his phone, so he turns it up. I was like, "Oh, what are you doing? Who the hell are you, man? What's going on?" He just took over, and he just thought he was a shit. And then on the show, he was like the biggest dickhead. All he could talk about was how he wanted to rematch Yodson. He'd fought Yodson before, and Yodson smashed him. And then so he made the show what it was because he's so arrogant, and every reality show needs an evil guy for people to hate, and he was the guy, which made the show successful in too. So yeah, I was very lucky to be the one to choose him, to fight him, to get him off the show, which it made me very proud at the time. And then so I ended up having over an 8 week period. No, sorry, how long was it? Yeah, 8 weeks. 8 weeks we shot 14 episodes, and then there's a 6 month break, and then we had by that stage that gave him a chance to edit the whole show, air the show, and then it was a live final in Singapore in front of about 10,000 people. So by that stage, everyone knew the characters, everyone knew the storylines, everyone watched the build up, and then to have me and Yosengla in the final was it was really surreal. It was very cool, man. And in between that 6 months too, I fought Cosmo Alexander and beat him for the WMC world title as well. So I was keeping busy as we were preparing. And then the sad part was as I was just about to compete in the final, I discovered my dad got terminal cancer. So that was really a tough predicament to be in because just watching him fade away into nothing, and then dropping in and saying goodbye on the way to the airport to go to Singapore to fight, and then being on the plane for 8 hours and having that realization, that time to myself, seeing how sick he was, and how important it was that I was successful, because this was it. He was not going to last much longer, and if I didn't get the win, it would have really sucked. So so I went out there and then got dropped round one. And I thought, fuck, I've got to get up because that's one I can't lose. And then round two, I get dropped again. It's like, oh man, get up! This is really, really bad. And then fought really hard in the third, the fourth, and the fifth. But I've been dropped twice, and then it was just one of those ones where didn't win, but didn't get knocked out. So and put up a good fight after 2 knockdowns. So apparently it had over like 500 million viewers across the world, and wow. The impact it had here, and even in Australia, they flew me down to Sydney. I got to shoot the commercials for it, and it was on one of our big family channels. It wasn't on the sports channel; it was on a family channel. So for 15 weeks, we're in everyone's lounge rooms across Australia. It was really, really cool. Grandmas would come up to me and shop and tap me on the shoulder and say, "I'm cheering for you, Johnny. Let's go." So and just because it wasn't the normal, it was really bizarre because I fought on Fox Sports so many times, and then Muay Thai doesn't really get the exposure that like other sports do. So to get recognition from people on the street was really bizarre, but it was really cool. And then so what happened after that? Things are really cool.
Something that I didn't know that I only found out preparing for this interview. It sounded like you got a taste for TV, because am I right in saying that you applied to go on The Ultimate Fighter?
No. I was thinking about it, and then I'm not sure what happened. I can't quite recall. I think you needed 2 or 3 MMA fights first before you were eligible to be entered onto the show.
Yeah.
But my career was going okay anyway. I didn't need to go into the Ultimate Fighter. I was so busy with my Muay Thai fights. That,
Yeah.
And then as when the UFC kicked off and started being like the new thing, and I'd already committed so long to Muay Thai and being in Thailand for so long, and I didn't want to start at white belt again and learning how to, just it was too much commitment to swap the teams and plus, lucky for me, one championship started and then that really raised the bar too, with the cage Muay Thai. So to give the opportunity, because they were just pure MMA there for a little while, and then once they started incorporating the kickboxing, all of a sudden the kickboxers got an opportunity to finally have a platform to shine for the world stage, and to make us kickboxers household names as well, not just the MMA guys. Yeah. So I'm so fortunate that one has done for us normal people.
Well, you mentioned one championship. There was talk of a fight a little while ago, but I just want to bring up that I apologize for my Wikipedia-based research that may be wrong here, but it says on your Wikipedia page you have 99 kickboxing wins. I don't know if that's including your Muay Thai or whatever it is, but it says 99, and I always think to myself, oh, you're one away from 100. Why don't you do like a Floyd Mayweather and do like, just fight somewhere you're going to win just to get 100 or something like that? But the other thing that came up was a little while ago, we were speaking to Dan Hardy, and there was talk at one point of you fighting Dan Hardy maybe in like a one championship cage. Obviously, he's with the PFL now, I think. Not necessarily as a fighter, but working with the PFL very closely in different capacities. What was there ever anything serious about this Dan Hardy fight, or would that be something that interests you?
Oh, for sure. If the opportunity arose, I'd love to do a celebrity fight with Dan. It'd be really cool. I've had 14 pro boxing fights, 11 wins, 10 knockouts. I like boxing. If the opportunity came between Muay Thai and jumping from either MMA or boxing, I definitely go the boxing route because you've a gentleman for me with 10-pin bowling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do a lot of my training 10-pin bowling because I'm really good at striking. Oh no! Did that just happen? Happen?
I think a lead balloon has just dropped.
That was a good striking. That was a striking joke.
We also know that we know that you're a big fan of MMA and the UFC. Talk us a little bit about what it was like to go and train with GSP.
Oh, GSP, he's a man. He was so cool. I did 10 seminars in 10 days, all around Canada. Got to go all over the state. It was really cool. And then after 10 seminars, I had 2 days before I was going to go back to Australia again. And the gentleman that brought me over, he's like, "Oh, what are we going to do? How are we going to kill time?" So, I've never been here. I have no idea. And he's like, "Oh, do you know George? Are you a fan of George St. Pierre? Would you like to meet him?" "I'd love to meet him. That'd be insane." He goes, "Oh, we're in Ottawa, and then Montreal was about 2 or 3 hours away from where we were. So let me make a phone call." So they rang Faraz from TriStar, and Faraz said, "Hey, tomorrow's Muay Thai sparring day. Does John Wayne want to jump in and do some rounds?" "Sure." So the next day we jump in the car, we drove to Montreal, get to TriStar, and then walking through the gym. Everyone was rolling before the Muay Thai started, so just watching everyone roll and the caliber of I'd never seen no gi rolling before in my whole life, and to see how just like 50 different dudes on the mats and just the environment in there, I was like, whoa, this is real now. And then and I seen George come in the room. He's like, holy shit. And then everyone's putting their shin pads and gloves on and shadow boxing. And then Fraz has the big board. And he goes, all right, so George, you're going to spar Dwayne. I'm like, holy fuck. So like a little schoolgirl, I put my hand out to touch George's and I said, oh, Hey, I'm such a big fan. It's such a big I love Spy. I can't believe this is happening. This is amazing. Oh my God. And he's just looking at me going, oh, who the fuck's this guy? And then the round started. And then I was really cautious of George's jab because I seen him fight Jake Shields. And his jab was on the money that fight. So I thought, oh. So I was watching very, very carefully. And so George threw a jab. So I parry, threw a kick, I checked. And then about 30 seconds in, I thought, oh, fuck it. I'll have a crack. So I just went forward and threw combinations. And next minute, I'm pretty much chasing George from one end of the cage to the other end of the cage, backwards again. And then at one stage, he threw a lazy jab. So I've parried it, and I've used the momentum from the parry to put my shin on top of his neck. And then I just left it there. And it was like one of those old westerns where you walk into the saloon and the music starts playing and everyone's like, and then I slowly just bring my leg down. And then the rounds, I did end up doing 2 rounds. One round boxing, one round Muay Thai, and I got to spar a couple other dudes in the gym as well, which is really cool. And then after the round, George comes up and I say, oh, I just want to thank you for not knocking me out with that head kick, because anyone else, that would have been their claim to fame that they've come in, but you just place it there. So, oh no, that's okay. I just wanted to show you that I could. Yeah, that's no worries. So we did some photos and everything was done, and I went back to Australia. And then about 6 months later, I was in front of the computer and the phone call, and I see an international number, and it was Faraz from TriStar. And he's like, "Hey, I'm just sitting beside George. We're still talking about your spar. With George is going to fight Johnny Hendricks in 12 weeks. Is it okay to come back to Montreal and train George personally, one-on-one?" So hang on. I asked my wife, "Hey, Angie, can I go to Canada and train George?" She goes, "Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess." And then 2 days later, caught the plane to Canada, and then I get and George was waiting for me at the airport. He's like, "Hey, I'm over here." I was like, "Fucking hell, it's George St. Pierre." And then yeah, we jump in the car, we drive to the hotel. On the way to the hotel, he goes, "Oh, I've put you up at a really nice place where I like to keep all my trainers, like Freddie Roach and all my sparring partners and stuff. So you'll really like it. It's really nice." And then so we trained for one-on-one for a week in Montreal, and then just out of the blue, George's like, "Hey, you ever been to New York?" "I've never been. You want to go?" Yeah. Brings the thing next, the travel agent. Within like 2 hours, we're going to the airport. Next minute, we're in New York for a week training at Renzo Gracie's in the blue basement with John Danaher for a whole week. It was insane. It was so cool. And then George would go out and we'd wake up. So during the mornings, I'd have free time. I'd go and watch the Statue of Liberty, jump on the ferry, or go on these adventures in New York, and then train George personally in the morning and watch him rolling with John Danaher in the afternoons. And it was just like the coolest week ever. So how's this? So there, one day we've been in Ottawa for a week, and about 2 or 3 days in New York. John Danaher sitting there watching our session. And then after the session, John comes up and goes, I can't believe how much you've changed George in such a short amount of time. Like the way that he's hitting the pads now, and his composure, his balance, everything. It's so impressive. So no, it's really cool. But the only thing was because there was still 10 weeks between the time I left back to Australia and the fight, George sort of slipped back into his own fight style again. And then I remember I got a message from a lady randomly on the computer saying, "Hey, were you going to go to MGM to watch George compete against Johnny Hendricks?" So unfortunately, I'm not on the team. He's already got his own corner. So if I was to go in the corner, that means he'd have to kick somebody off. And they've been with the team for so long that he's not. So I'm just going to cheer for him in Australia. She goes, "Oh, that's not good enough. You deserve to be there after everything you did for George. I think you should be there. I'd like to offer you a free plane ticket to go to Las Vegas and watch him compete." Sure. That sounds, yeah. And then within 10, you went Isla window. I was like, "Holy shit, are you really serious?" She goes, "Oh, I'm doing it right now." She goes, "Oh, you wouldn't believe it. If I book my ticket right now, I can get you 2 free nights at the MGM also. So I've booked that for you as well." I was like, "Holy shit!" So I went online and then I got two $500 tickets to pay her back for at least I could do. She was a scientist in Texas at the time. So hey, I bought you a ticket. Can you be my guest at least to sit and watching George? Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so next minute we get to the venue, get in the gym. I hand the two $500 tickets to the usher. She starts walking up the stairs. Walking. We're about 5 rows from the top. She goes, "There you go." I said, "Oh no, there's some sort of mistake. These are $500 tickets." No, these are the right tickets. You're sitting right there. It's like $500. And yeah, the fighters look like ants. You had to watch the screens the whole time because we were so far away. But yeah, just to be there and be in the crowd and watching George fight Hendricks was a little bit disappointing because what we'd worked on and what happened during the fight were two different things. And because Johnny was a southpaw, I was trying to get George to move away from his power hand and implement different leads. But it ended up being a very close fight where a majority of people thought he might have lost. I thought he won. I thought after 4 rounds it was 2-2. Whoever won the fifth, and I thought George didn't have to win that. But yeah, it was. He made it a lot harder fight than it should have been. Like if he had just stuck to our fundamentals. But it was still an amazing event. It was very 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 cool to be part of.
Fantastic. I have to know, who was this woman that just got you the tickets and the flights
just,
and everything?
It was just this bizarre, random. Just I'm very lucky. Wow. My life is like a
just a GSP fan.
Yeah, no, a John Wayne fan. Just randomly, hey, you deserve to be there, so here you go. So wow. This is what happens in my life. So my hip was almost cactus. I couldn't walk. I couldn't wait there. I didn't have any money to get the operation, like to go through private. I had to go through the normal system, and it would have been like a 2-year wait. So I was training these people, and then I was hobbling around holding pads with them. And he goes, "Oh, when are you going to get that fixed?" Look, I'm going to go through the public system, so it could be a while. He goes, "What about if I pay for it for you? Can you get me some quotes?" So okay. So I talked to this guy. I talked to the surgeon. It was going to be 27,000. Fuck. So I didn't want to tell the guy it was 27. So I just told him it was 20. All right. Can you send me the invoice then? So I sent him the 20 invoice, and then I was going to pay the other 7 because I felt too bad. So I paid the other 7, and then the next day I seen him say, "Hey, good news! I paid for that invoice. I paid that 20." And then I scrolled down and I seen there was 2 more. So I paid for them as well. So I paid the whole 27. I said, "Oh no, I've already paid that 7." He goes, "Oh, get your money back." So I contacted the hospital. I said, "Oh, look, I've accidentally." So within a couple, I got my 7 grand back. So I got a free hip. And then I was back fighting 9 months after surgery. So I thought I was done, and then luckily because of this gentleman that paid for my hip, I ended up getting 2 more fights before I retired. So, but yeah, my life's very lucky. I'm very free trips to Thailand, free hip, free trip to Vegas. Yeah, life is cool.
And
wow,
you mentioned that retirement, and the retirement speech was a pretty emotional watch for all of us.
Yeah.
How hard was it to hang up the gloves, and how's retirement?
Oh, it still sucks. It still sucks. I'm still transitioning. I'm still transitioning to being a day walker. It's rough. Yeah, it so sucks. So my whole life for 35 years is about having a date. All right, fighting 10th of September. Next 10 weeks, I'm just fully focused on going through game plans every night before I go to bed, put my head on the pillow. This, and this. All right, I'm going to make sure I do this. Okay. And then determination to train like in Thailand to be harder every single day than the day before. And then to wake up and no longer have that exhilaration and excitement and yeah, it sucks. It was everything. It's fun training the kids. It's fun being in the gym. But to not have that, and then my body's so broken now that even if I wanted to fight, I couldn't because my hip still plays up every now and again, which is yeah, just so heartbreaking. Something that you love so much, and you got to Getting old is such a punch in the face. Father Time's undefeated, so
Yeah.
yeah, we're all victims of that guy.
You're talking about that, and it's reminding me of what's happened recently with Alexander Volkanovski. He came out with, I don't know if you saw his
Oh yeah,
post-fight
I definitely
chat
seen.
after the Islam Makhachev fight, and it seems like he was so he found it difficult. It seemed to not have a fight booked. He had to get a fight in. It was somehow the phrase he used is it was doing his head in, that not
Oh
having a
yeah,
fight, and now he's looking at just coming off what I thought was quite a vicious knockout. And we're huge Volk fans on this show. We've had him on the show a couple of times. But he's looking at potentially fighting Ilia Topuria in January. And he's saying he wants that fight. And as a fan of his, I'm thinking, mate, I'd love you to take some time off and just kind of like give it 2 or 3 extra months just to recover from that. Do you think do you see in do you what do you think if you're in Volk's corner? Are you saying, yeah, man, you'll be good for January, and I understand what it's like to not have a fight booked and how your mental health might deteriorate if you're not going towards a fight? Or do you go, take a break because that was a bad knockout and maybe try and find something else that's keeping you kind of happy or occupied for those extra few months? How do you play it?
fight. Yeah, the more you fight,
Really?
oh yeah. And then because you're coming off a loss too, that's gonna eat at you until your next win. So the only way to erase that loss is to win again. And then you're only as good as your last fight. So all your emotions feed off a loss, and then that can take you to a dark place as well because you know you're better than that. You know there was mistakes made that could have prevented it. But so yeah. And then the only good thing about a loss is the motivation that it drives you to be more successful in the future. Yeah, I've had 37 losses out of 150 fights, and every single one of them sucked. So yeah, just it's hard. Long as you got the passion, if you got the passion to get beaten, and you can get straight back in the gym and still be positive and still motivated. Yeah, it doesn't. You don't need the long breaks. And while you're fit and healthy, last thing you do is have a big break, drop down your cardio, then have to start again from the base. It's good to drop down to 70% and then top back up again, 70% and top back up again. Then you're constantly ready. The phone call rings. You got 3 days. I'm good. Yeah, it's just fight, keep fighting.
You wouldn't worry about like a lack of durability or your chin being a bit less because you've been knocked out a few months prior?
Nah.
No, fair enough. You know more. That's why I'm asking the question. You're the expert, not me.
You're your own science project. If you get knocked down, should I fight straight away? Sure. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. But yeah. I've had 150 fights and only been stopped twice. From knockouts. I've been stopped by cuts, but only knocked on the chin and the head kick. With the head kick 3. So yeah, just get straight back into the gym. And then like I said before, use it as motivation. Never want that to have that feeling of a loss, of a knockout loss, ever again. It's it's such good motivation. It really, really sucks. So, and then when you win, the enjoyment of that next win just makes it so much more even better. So yeah, there's always a positive to the situation.
We're aware that we've took an hour of your time, and we're so grateful that you've given that up for us. And I just want to ask you, as somebody that has transitioned, through kickboxing to Muay Thai to boxing, we had a huge fight at the weekend. We saw a hybrid fight of Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou. How did you see that, and how did you score that?
I think Tyson definitely won. I think Yeah, I for his performance to being who he was and not being aggressive or there was no output. You don't win fights by not punching. You got to punch. That's how you win. It's a boxing fight. You got to box. They just stood there and did a staring competition. The third round was insane. That was cool, but the rest of the fight was shit. It was good game plan, but to watch it back again to rescore it, that was painful. That sucks so bad. But Tyson just did a little bit more, a little bit more. But when I said a little bit more, like they should be both in. Oh, not the Francis's game plan to let Tyson come to him. That was really really clever. He didn't put himself in any danger, and then that check left hook of his dropping him in the third, and even in the early rounds, every time Tyson came in, that check hook was catching him, and then that sort of gave him the intimidated to commit after that, pretty much. And then after the knockdown, that sort of changed the game. Then, but I even went on the Google, look at the boxing stats to see how many punches they threw, and it was it was very very sad. I think in one round they threw like 6 punches the whole round.
Yeah,
it's like, oh come on, guys, this is supposed to be world level. You're asking for $200 million a fight, and you can't fucking punch. It's like, what? Like, your only job, you got $200 million, and your only job is to throw punches. You can't throw a punch. Yeah, crazy. Yeah, true or not? For that sort of money.
Yeah. I mean,
if for $200, I want you to do a little jingle dance in the middle and friggin' top hat and cane. Do your thing for $200 million. Yeah, they just stand there.
No, absolutely fair enough. Fair enough. I have to say I haven't watched it properly because I don't know. I'm not as huge a fan of boxing as what I like. I love MMA, but I would rather watch a Muay Thai fight or a kickboxing fight than I would a boxing fight. I like the kicks. I like all that. Again, it's that thing of I grew up watching Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the kickboxer movies and stuff like that. And I was like, I want to see the flashy stuff. I don't just want to see the punches. I want to see the flashy stuff. So yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. Mate, thank you so much for coming on today, mate. It's been such a pleasure hearing your stories and chatting to you, mate. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Hey, I thank you for the opportunity. It was really fun. Thank you so much.
No, cheers, mate. Thank you so much. All the best.
We're going to press stop now, but don't go anywhere.